Hey friends, how you all doing? So today I'll be talking about slipper clutch. Now KTM Duke 390 2015 model could be coming out with slipper clutch. KTM has not confirmed yet. However, there are talks by journalists and by different forums that 2015 KTM Duke 390 would have a slipper clutch and at the same price. It is not an option, however it would be standard. That is what everybody is talking about. Well, I'm not really sure. However, yes, it is good if the KTM Duke 390 new model comes up with slipper clutch. However, most of my friends and my subscribers, even my subscribers are my friends, so they have been writing to me on YouTube, on Facebook, and many of them have been not so happy because they bought their motorbikes, they bought the KTM Duke 390 model just a couple of months ago in December 2014, and some people bought in January first week or second week. So they are feeling bad that they could have missed out on the slipper clutch. Now, many of you have asked me that how important is slipper clutch? What am I missing if my model of KTM Duke 390 does not have slipper clutch? So I'll talk about a few points which are really good about slipper clutch and few points which are not so important about slipper clutch. So let us start. Point number one, let me start by saying this, that is, slipper clutch was invented for racing, not for street use. So if you are someone who is riding your motorbike mostly on the streets, on the highways, then do not worry about slipper clutch. It would almost not matter to you. However, if you are someone who does track days, who is getting trained to get into motorsport, then yes, it would matter. How? So now let me give you a couple of examples. Example number one, when you are riding your motorbike, think that you are in the 6th gear, and let us take the example of KTM Duke 390. If you are in the 6th gear at 160 kilometers an hour and downshift, come to 5th, you would see a little rise in the RPM. Downshift again, go to 4th, the RPM would go even higher. Go to 3rd, the RPM would almost go to red line. What is happening? Basically, this is known as engine braking, where the transmission, the gear ratios, and the engine all together is slowing down the rear wheel, and your motorbike is also slowing down along with it. So in racing, what happens? How does a slipper clutch help you? Let us take an example. If you are riding your KTM Duke 390 on a racetrack, if you are on the fastest stretch of the racetrack, and if you are doing 165 kilometers an hour on your KTM Duke 390 and you are approaching the first corner, and what would you do? You would start braking and also start downshifting at the same time, and all this would happen really fast. There would not be any time to think, correct? From 165 you would have to slow down to about 100 kilometers an hour to take the first corner, and while you're doing that, you would not really calculate how many gears have I gone down. You know, everything happens really fast. So when you're downshifting, and if you are at about 100 kilometers an hour, then you should be in about 3rd gear on the KTM Duke 390. However, just imagine that you have downshifted and you have ended up being in the 2nd gear, and before taking the corner, you release the clutch. You go this way, you start braking, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and you're at 100 kilometers an hour, and you release the clutch. Now, a KTM Duke 390 cannot do 100 kilometers an hour in second gear. So basically there's no RPM left for the combination of the gear ratios and the engine to keep rotating the rear wheel. So the moment you let the clutch go, the rear wheel could lock up. The possibility of the rear wheel locking up in second gear at 100 kilometers an hour is very high. So at this moment, if you had slipper clutch, it is designed to release the clutch, disengage the clutch the moment it feels that there is excessive engine braking. If there's excessive feedback from the rear wheel coming to the transmission and coming to the clutch. So at that situation, your rear wheel would not get locked. Got it? And on a street, if you're riding on a highway, you would not generally do this kind of hard downshifting generally. And this is the racing application of slipper clutch. However, on a street, on a highway, a slipper clutch can be very helpful to you. That is, this is a worst case scenario. This does not usually happen. However, in case your engine seizes when you're riding, say you're riding at 130, 140 kilometers an hour and your engine seizes because of whatever reason, then if you do not have a slipper clutch, what a rider has to do is he would have to manually disengage the clutch. Disengage means pull the clutch lever back. If he does not do it, then the rear wheel would get locked immediately and it is a very dangerous situation. However, if you have a slipper clutch, then even if you do not pull the lever back, if you do not disengage the clutch, the slipper clutch unit does the job. It will disengage the clutch and the rear wheel would start to rotate freely and you would not get into a very bad situation. So these were the good things about slipper clutch. So point one was hard downshifting. When you're racing, hard downshifting, you don't need it, but it's a good thing to have. And of course, in case of engine seizing. And there are a couple of bad things also about slipper clutch. You know what? What I personally don't like so much about slipper clutch, that is, this thing could have happened to many of us. If you haven't ran your motorbike for say a couple of months or so, you could realize that your battery is dead and it wouldn't crank the engine. So what would you do? You would just ask a friend to push your motorbike and you would let the motorbike keep rolling and release the clutch in the second gear. Most of the time our motorbikes crank up and we can keep riding and the battery charges up when we are riding, correct? However, if you have a slipper clutch in the same situation, say your battery is low, it's not able to crank the engine. Say, for example, it's me. If I'm sitting on my motorbike, if I request my friend to give me a push, if my friend helps me out and now I release the clutch, engage the clutch in the second gear, what happens? The rear wheel would send feedback to the transmission and to the slipper clutch. And what the slipper clutch would generally do in this kind of a situation where the rear wheel is kind of getting locked or giving feedback, it releases, it disengages. So there is a very high possibility that you will not be able to push start your motorbike, because every time you push the motorbike and release the clutch, engage the clutch in the second gear or third gear, the slipper clutch would just disengage and you will not go anywhere. So that is one not so good thing about the slipper clutch. And another point is engine braking. Engine braking is very important. I personally like it. Say if I'm riding a motorbike on a highway and if I'm cruising at 140 kilometers an hour, I don't really use a brake so much. All that I do is downshift gradually. I go from 6th to 5th, 5th to fourth gradually, and the motorbike would start to slow down on its own. That is because the engine and the transmission together is slowing down the rear wheel very slowly, gradually. So that is a good thing. But on a slipper clutch, it does happen. Engine braking does happen, but it gets reduced by quite a bit. Because as we know, any kind of excess feedback coming from the rear wheel to the clutch disengages. So what I would like to say is that if your KTM Duke 390 has a slipper clutch, it's good. However, if it does not have, and you are not someone who's riding on a racetrack, do not worry about it. And even if you're riding on a racetrack, it's not that you cannot ride without a slipper clutch. It's only a rider aid. And many people have also asked me, can we install slipper clutch into an existing KTM Duke 390? I would say yes, it is possible, because any motorbike can be upgraded to a slipper clutch, but the cost would be a lot. For example, if I have to put a slipper clutch onto my Yamaha R1, the cost would be about $1,000 or more than that. So, however, people have asked me that can I go to KTM and Bajaj in India and ask them to put a slipper clutch into my existing 2013 or 2014 KTM Duke 390? No, I don't think Bajaj would do that. They might not encourage, they might just say that it is not possible for whatever reason. But as a matter of fact, it is possible. But they would just say, no, it's not possible. Could be because they wish to sell newer KTM Duke 390s, and that is their marketing way, because they do have to sell motorbikes. They are a company. And so that is about it from my side. Do let me know if you have any questions. I can go into the technicality of slipper clutch and how it works and everything, but that is okay. We can read about it on Wikipedia. I have kept my video as simple as possible, just giving practical examples of what happens. So that's it, friends. Thank you. Bye-bye.